Today I'm going to show you how to color alien skin with Copic markers. This is part 2 where I'll show you how to color green and red skin. As with part 1 of this tutorial, I just want to make sure to mention that you need to remember Copics work best wet on wet. It's really important to use nice, juicy markers. For these videos, I'm going to use a light source that comes from the top left. These tutorials are more about what colors to use rather than how light source works. For the green skin tone, I'm going to use YG13, YG17, and YG67. For the lips, I'm going to use Y17, Y38, and YR07. I'm going to start by laying down the colorless blender because Copics work best wet on wet. The colorless blender ink will help the area stay wet for longer and help the marker colors blend better. My base layer, YG13. As you see, I'm coloring in small sections as I can. I make sure to do everything in whole chunks so that I can color wet on wet and keep the colors as blended as possible. I used YG13 as my base because I wanted her to be a medium green-skinned character. If I wanted her to be a light-skinned green character, I would have used a much lighter base color. I used YG17 to add the blush areas and ear shadows. Then I brought back the YG13 and used it to blend in the color. I scrubbed the marker over her cheeks and tried to pull the color down into her lower cheeks. For her ears, I went in circular motions around where the shadows were to spread it out to the edges of her ears. You can see the dark area where I'd put the YG17, as well as the area where YG13 is layering over itself and partly dragging out the YG17 to create a deeper shadow. YG13 is light enough that if I layer it over itself, it creates a shadow that's really noticeable. Here I added some more shadow from her chin to her cheek. You can see the way the left part of her chin is a little bit more highlighted because the YG13 layering it over itself created a bit of a shadow on the right side of her face that follows the line of the shadow on her neck. I then brought out the YG17 to add shadows under her bangs. Then bring out the YG13 and blend as best as I could. I color the whole area. The shadows don't need to be that dark, so using the YG13 over it to blend is okay. I'm liking how her skin is looking now, but I wanted to push it just a bit more. So I used the YG17 to create a bit more harsh shadow on her neck and her collarbone. Then I'm using the YG13 to blend it out best I can. I'm going up and down the line and doing circular motions and trying to spread the YG17 ink out on both sides. I want there to be a mixture of the harsher shadows created by the YG17 marker and the lighter, more subtle shadows that are the result of YG13 layering over itself. I added YG17 under her eyebrows, on the side of her nose, and under her lips. I then added the darkest shadows last, with the YG67. I added those under her eyebrows and on the side of her nose. I didn't want the YG67 shadows to be that dark, so I used the YG13 to blend so that the light color of the YG13 would take away from some of the intensity of the dark YG67 color. I then started to poke at her nose and use the color to give her nose more shape. And I like the tone of the shadows by her nose so much, I just had to add some more to her ears and under her chin and her arm, but I am using it much more sparingly. Once again, I went back to the YG13 to blend and try and mute the darkness a little bit so it's not as intense and unnatural looking. I realized her blush wasn't as visible as I would like it to be. Probably because I'd introduced the new dark color, so other areas were looking darker than the blush area. So I added just a touch of YG67 onto her cheeks. And then blended it out with the YG17. Then went over it all in YG13. Then I decided to poke around the rest of the area that's base layer, layered upon base layer, to see if I can get a few more different values out of this marker. I added Y17 for the base layer of her lips, and then a little bit of Y38 to add a little more color. I initially gave her yellow lips, but the Y17 and Y38 just wasn't pushing it enough for me. So I added YR07, which I think goes really nice with those yellows, and blended it all together. The depth of adding those two colors seems to suit her green skin tone a lot better. And here she is, alien girl with green skin. For my red-skinned character, I'm going to use RV29, R89, E39, R20, and RV93. For her lips, I'm going to use RV29 and RV93. I know it seems like I'm using a lot more colors than my other characters, but because this character is going to be so dark-skinned, I'm actually going to use all the shading colors a little bit more sparingly. I prepped her by filling her skin area in with my colorless blender. Then I fill it in with the base color, RV29, which you can see is pretty dark and really pops. I applied R89 under her chin and brought out my RV29 to blend that area, as well as layer the RV29 over itself in some areas to create darker values. The R89 is then used under her eyebrow line, on her nose, and under her chin. I am trying to work quickly. I find it's much more noticeable when dark colors aren't blended when still wet. It's just the nature of them being such dark colors. I used E39 in darker, shadowy areas, like under her hairline and eyebrows, and blended that out with RV29 as well, with the intention that the RV29 will mute some of the darkness of the E39. I also started to layer the RV29 over itself a bit. It's really subtle, but you can see I added a bit of shadow from her chin to her cheek, and on the left side of her nose a bit more. I used the R89 as a blush color, and use the RV29 to blend it out. I use circular motions and just try and pull the R89 ink downwards into the RV29 color on her lower cheeks. Then I added more shadow on her neck and under her hair where her shoulder is. Because the RV29 color is so dark, I immediately used the colorless blender on her lips to try and lift as much red as I could. Reds are really hard to get the color lifted from, so that's why in this case I did that as soon as possible. I filled in her lip with RV93, added a touch of RV29, and then used the RV93 to blend it out a bit. R20 was used to add highlights to her eyelids, as well as a bit on her nose and her forehead and her collarbone. Remember, lighter colors lift from darker colors. So now that both drawings are dry, I'm going to use my Sakura jelly pen to add highlights. I didn't like how the white Jelly Roll pen smeared out of the eyelid area. That was my bad. So I brought out my YG13 and did a quick fix. With her medium toned skin, I feel like the white lines look nice as highlights on her skin. But another option would be to use a lime green pencil crayon too. That could create a much subtler highlight. It just depends on the style you want to go for. Because of how dark my red girl's skin is, I feel like the Sakura Jelly Roll Pen's white lines are a bit intense for her skin color. So I brought out my RV93 marker and went over the Jelly Roll lines. And it's still a highlighted area, but it's not so white it looks awkward. It's been muted down to match her skin tone. And then I added their eye color and details to their clothing and hair, which you'll also see was an opportunity for me to hide places where the color of the skin had bled out over the lines. Keep in mind the best way to improve your skills when it comes to coloring skin is practicing. Practice blending the markers together. Practice giving your characters different skin tones. Like, check this out. I use this same character sheet to practice regular, more natural skin tones as well. I tried different skin colors, different combos, different types of shadows, and even in the future when I color alien girls, I'm going to try different things too. Like one day maybe I will find a blush color I like with the green girl better than just using a darker green as her blush color. If you use this tutorial to color any alien girls or guys, please shoot me a message or post a link in the comments below. I'd love to see what you come up with. And if you enjoyed this video, please like it and subscribe to my channel.